Rumi said something that sounds completely insane. Die before you die. What does that even mean? How can you die? Before you die? Is he speaking in metaphors? Playing with words? No. He meant it literally, not death of the body, but death of something far more stubborn, far more resistant, the death of you, the death of I, the death of everything you think you are. The Sufis called this Fana, annihilation, the complete dissolution of the ego before God, and they said it was the only way to truly find him. Today I'm going to reveal what this actually means, what it feels like, and why the mystics who experienced it said it was the most terrifying and most beautiful moment of their entire existence. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover might be the most important spiritual teaching you've ever heard. Let me ask you something honest. Who are you? No, really. Who are you? You might say, I'm a parent. I'm an engineer. I'm American. I'm a good person. I'm struggling. I'm successful. But notice what's happening in all those answers. There's always an I. I am this. I am that. That I, that sense of being a separate individual self, feels like the most obvious, undeniable fact of your existence, right? From the moment you wake up until the moment you sleep, there's this continuous feeling. I exist. I am me. Separate from you. Separate from the world. Separate from God. We spend our entire lives defending this I, protecting it, building it up, proving it, validating it. We say, I want this, I need that, I deserve more. But here's what the Sufi masters discovered, something so radical it got some of them killed, that I is an illusion, not just a small illusion, the fundamental illusion, the one barrier between you and God, the veil that makes you feel separate from the divine, when in reality you never were. The great Persian mystic Al-Hallaj stood in the streets of Baghdad and shouted, Al-Hallaj, I am the truth, I am God. They executed him for it. They thought he was claiming to be God in his ego, but that's not what he meant. He meant, when my ego died, when the I was annihilated, all that remained was God. There was no more separation, no more me and him, only the one reality. This is Fana, and it's not philosophy, it's not poetry, it's an actual experience, a state of consciousness, a spiritual death and rebirth that changes everything. The Arabic word Fana literally means to perish, to pass away, to be annihilated. But what exactly is being annihilated? Not your body, not your soul, your ego, your nafs, your false sense of separate selfhood. The Sufis taught that we walk through life wearing a costume, a mask. We think this costume is who we are. The costume has a name, a history, desires, fears, attachments. I want people to like me. All of that, the entire psychological structure of me, is the costume. And Fana is the moment when that costume burns away. The 3 stages of Fana. The Sufi masters described Fana as happening in stages. Stage 1. Fana of actions, you realize that you are not the one doing things. You stop saying, I did this, and start experiencing, God did this through me. Your sense of personal agency begins to dissolve. You stop identifying with them. When anger arises, you don't say, I am angry. You witness anger happening. The separation between observer and observed starts to collapse. Stage 3. Fana of essence. This is the deepest level. There is no more you and God. There is only God, one reality, one existence, one being. The Quran itself speaks to this. Everything upon the earth is undergoing annihilation, but there subsists the face of your Lord, possessor of majesty and generous giving. Quran 55 to 26 to 27. All forms pass away, all egos perish. Only God remains. The mystics who experienced Fana described it in paradoxical ways. The most terrifying peace I've ever known. I died and became more alive than I'd ever been. I lost myself completely and found my true self for the first time. It's described as both obliteration and liberation, death and birth, emptiness and fullness, because when the false self dies, what remains is not nothing. What remains is everything, pure being, pure presence, pure divine reality. Rumi wrote, I died as mineral and became a plant. I died as plant and rose to animal. I died as animal and I was human. Why should I fear? When was I less by dying? Each death, each letting go, is actually a rising into something greater. Now you might be thinking, this sounds beautiful, but how? How do you actually die to the ego? How do you reach Fana? The Sufis were very practical. They gave specific methods. Method 1. Constant remembrance, the foundation of the Sufi path. Remembering God constantly, obsessively, until the rememberer and the remembered merge. You repeat the names of God, or there is no God but God, over and over and over. Not just with your tongue, with your breath, with your heartbeat, with your entire being. The repetition is designed to wear down the ego. At first, you are saying the words, but if you persist for hours, for days, for years, something shifts. The words start saying themselves, and eventually, there's no more you saying anything. There's only the divine name vibrating through existence. The mystic Al-Junaid said, remembrance of God is the alchemy that transmutes perception into utter joy. Method 2. Sacred seclusion. The Sufis would retreat into solitude for 40 days. No distractions, no people, no entertainment. Just you and God. In the silence and darkness, the ego has nowhere to hide. All its tricks, its defenses, its endless chatter, all of it rises to the surface, and you watch it. You witness it. You let it burn itself out. The Prophet Muhammad himself retreated to the cave of Hira before his revelation. Jesus spent 40 days in the wilderness. Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree until enlightenment came. And what remains is truth. Method 3. Meditation on annihilation. The Sufi sits in stillness, eyes closed, breath slow, and visualizes their own death. Not morbidly, not with fear, but with complete acceptance. They imagine their body dissolving, their thoughts ceasing, their identity evaporating, I fading into nothingness. And in that imagined death, they practice letting go of control, of fear, of attachment to existing as a separate being. Al-Ghazali wrote, die before you die, so that when death comes it will be like meeting an old friend. Method 4. The guidance of a sheikh. This is perhaps the most important. Fana is dangerous territory. The ego is cunning. It will disguise itself as humility, as spirituality, as enlightenment. You might think you've let go of ego when in fact it's just wearing a different costume. A true Sufi sheikh, a master who has already died and been reborn in God, can see through these tricks. They guide, they challenge, they shatter your false certainties. Rumi had shams of Tabriz. That relationship destroyed Rumi's entire sense of self, and out of that destruction came the most beautiful poetry the world has ever known. Ultimately, Fana happens through overwhelming, all-consuming love. Not romantic love, not attachment, but a love so vast, so total, that the lover completely forgets themselves in the beloved. Rumi said, lovers don't finally meet somewhere. They're in each other all along. When love reaches its peak, separation becomes impossible. The lover and beloved merge, and that merging is Fana. Here's something extraordinary. Fana is not the end of the journey, it's the middle, because after annihilation comes subsistence. The Sufis called this Baqa, eternal life in God. Here's how it works. In Fana, you die. The ego is annihilated. There's only God, but then you return. You come back to the world, back to your body, back to your life. But you're not the same person who left. You've died and been reborn. Now you walk through the world, but you're no longer driven by ego. You act, but you know God is the one acting through you. You speak, but you know it's God speaking. You love, you work, you live, but it's all God experiencing himself through your form. This is Baqa. You subsist in God while still being present in the world. The Persian master Abu Yazid Bistami described it perfectly. For 30 years I went in search of God, and when I opened my eyes at the end of that time, I discovered that it was really He who sought for me. The seeker and the sought were never two. The return to the world, here's the beautiful paradox. The mystic who has experienced Fana doesn't abandon the world. They return to it. But now they see everything differently. A tree is not just a tree. It's God's self-expression. And a human face is not just flesh. It's the divine looking back at you through different eyes. Every moment becomes sacred. Every interaction becomes worship. The Sufi poet Hafiz wrote, I wish I could show you, when you are lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. That light, that's what remains after Fana. Not your ego, not your personality, but the eternal, luminous presence of God shining through you. People think Fana is about loss. I'll lose myself, I'll lose my identity. I'll become nothing. But the mystics say exactly the opposite. You don't lose yourself. You find your true self, the self you've been carrying around, the worried, insecure, grasping ego. That was the false self, the prison. Fana breaks open that prison, and what emerges is vast, free, boundless. You realize you were never a small, separate wave. You are the entire ocean. You always were. Now let me bring this down to earth. You're watching this video. You're living a life. You have problems, responsibilities, fears, dreams. How does any of this mystical talk about ego death actually help you? Here's the truth. Every single moment of suffering in your life comes from the same source. The ego, the I that needs more, that fears loss, that compares itself to others, that feels separate and alone. That's the source of your anxiety, your depression, your anger, your emptiness, not external circumstances, the ego's reaction to circumstances. Fana is the ultimate solution, not by escaping life, but by transforming your relationship to it. 1. You stop taking everything personally when you realize there's no separate you to defend. Criticism doesn't wound you. Success doesn't inflate you. Failure doesn't destroy you. You become like water, flowing, adapting, but never broken. 2. You stop chasing and fearing the ego is always running toward pleasure, away from pain. When the ego quiets, you rest in the present moment. Life unfolds, you respond. But you're no longer driven by desperate need. 3. You experience true connection separation as the ego's fundamental illusion. When that dissolves, you feel intimately connected to all beings, not in an abstract way, in a felt way. You look in someone's eyes and see yourself looking back. 4. You find God everywhere, not in a temple, not in a book, in the breath entering your lungs, in the stranger's smile, in the rain falling. God is no longer out there somewhere. God is here, now, in all things, as all things. Rumi said, you think because you understand one, you must also understand two, because 1 and 1 makes 2. But you must also understand and. The and is where God lives, in the space between, in the connection, in the oneness beneath all apparent separation. So here's what the Sufis want you to know. You are not your ego. You are not your fears, your failures, your accomplishments, your identity. All of that is temporary. All of that will perish. But there is something eternal within you. Something that existed before you were born and will exist after you die. Something that is not separate from God, but is God expressing himself in this particular form. And the journey of Fana is about dying to everything false, so that only truth remains. Rumi said, die, die, die in this love. If you die in this love, your soul will be renewed. Die, die, and do not fear the death of that which is known. You will come forth brighter, like the sun in the morning. The ego will tell you this is scary, dangerous, that you'll lose something precious. But every mystic who has walked this path says the same thing. You lose nothing real. You gain everything. You lose the prison. You gain infinity. So I'll end with Rumi's invitation. Die before you die. Let the false self perish, and discover the deathless reality that you've always been. If this truth resonates in your soul, share this video with someone who's ready to hear it. Subscribe to The Spoken Soul for more teachings from the great Sufi masters. And remember, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop. The journey home is the journey inward. And God has been waiting for you to arrive